Thanks, Chris Farley. Let's go.
Welcome.
1, 2.
Shana Tova, Gmar Chatima Tova,
Shana Tova.
and Shabbat Shalom. We are lucky to have a convergence of different holidays all together, and we learn in the Gemara that one holiday does not supersede or take over or replace another one. So we have the opportunity of celebrating Shabbat here as well. And so as the traditional way we bring in Shabbat is often with Shalom Aleichem, the welcoming of the ministering angels that bring us into the space of the Sabbath, into that time of rest. So a little taste of Shabbat to start us off.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sing with us. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So at this time, we need to light some candles, both to bring in Shabbat, the Sabbath, as we do every week, but also light the candles of Yom Tov, of Yom Kippur, and bring in this day of days within our Jewish tradition. So I want to invite at this time Rabbi Lindy and our very own Matt Davidson to come forward to lead us in lighting the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
So now we transition into, I guess, perhaps the more momentous of the holidays we're looking at right now. We transition into Yom Kippur, and we now arrive at Kol Nidre. Kol Nidre is a really ancient service, the words meaning all vows, and Nidre being an Aramaic construct of neder, which is a vow in Hebrew. The idea being that this was a time at which the vows that you did not manage to fulfill, to keep to other people, the ways in which you may have missed in that way, that those vows are absolved. It's interesting that actually the rabbis in our history did not like this service and thought this was sort of a dangerous or maybe even a subversive idea of releasing people from their vows in that way. But it remained so popular with the community that we have it to this day, that here we are for Kol Nidre right now. So we prepare for the actual Kol Nidre, the recitation thereof. We have a number of folks to welcome up. So our ark openers, Joseph Cohen, Frank Damon, and his friend Uri, if you all want to come on up. And then Ami and Joe Cohen, Jackie and David Israel, Jess Ravitch, Kevin Naim and Holly Masnaim, Nancy and Michael Citrick, Philip Trask and Janet Schulman, Richard Rasiej, and Joan Herman, Marilyn and Tom Elias, Marvin Klein and Susan Candrowith Klein. We traditionally repeat the Kol Nidre 3 times, and we have 3 Sifrei Torot, 3 Torahs, to be held by various people, which is part of why we have this large community up here to be holding Torot. So, if you all want to gather around this way a little bit. So Amy and Joe, Jackie, all of you can be sort of more up front here. Please rise as the ark is opened. Yeah, go ahead.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei ve'chormei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei u'shavuot din darna ud ishtevana ud acharimna v'diasarna al nafshata miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba aleinu letova kol hon icharat navechon kol hon yechon shara Shivikin, Shivitin, Bitelim umvutalim, Lasherim, Velakayamim, Din darna la nidre ve'esarana la esare ushvuatana la Shavuot.
We prepare to continue with the second repetition of Kol Nidre. It's found on 692 in the books. We now prepare for the third repetition, the final repetition of Kol Nidre.
Kol Nidre Vesare Vecharame Vekoname Vechinuye Vekinuse Ushavur Din Darna Udeishtevana Harim na Vidia Sar na Al Nafshatana Miyom Kippurim ze Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letova Kol Icharad Navehon Kol Hon Yehon Sharan Shavikin Shavitin Betelin Umvutalin La Shererim Villa Kayamim Din Darna La Nidre Ve'esarana La Esare Ushavua Tanala Shavuot.
Please be seated. At this time, I want to invite Ellen and Harry Sondheim forward to share a reading. While folks are returning.
Thank you.
We're on
And
page,
there,
go ahead. We're on page 695.
and there shall be atonement for the whole community of Israel, and the stranger dwelling in their midst, indeed, for an entire people that has gone astray.
God forgiveness then for the transgression of his people as the abundance of your love demands, and as you have always lifted from disfavor these your people from the time of Egypt until now, as it is told. Blessed are you, sorry.
The fount of mercy said, I grant forgiveness as you ask.
Blessed are you, Eternal One, the Sovereign of all the worlds, who has given us life and who has sustained us and who has brought us to this time.
Thank you.
Want to stay and sing? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. One more, Baruch. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We continue on page 708 with the Barchu. The Barchu is our call to prayer. On Kol Nidre, it is a call to additional things, a call to tshuva, tzedakah, utfilah, a call to repentance, and a call to renew ourselves this year. Please rise for the Baruch Hu. Please be seated. We continue on 7:12, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam is, I think, a particularly striking and meaningful and powerful piece to find right now on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, Yom Hadin, the day of judgment, as it is often called, to have this in the middle of it, this reminder that we also experience the love of God, that God's love is with us, God's love is an everlasting and ever-flowing love, even in the midst of the severity of the day of judgment, Yom Hadin.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu Limadta. How you bless us, how you teach us, how you love us everlastingly. When darkness surrounds us, when life confounds us, you are the rising of the sun. Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu Limadta. We thank you for Torah, for the sweetness and the song. And we will walk in your ways through the life and the length of our days. May you never take your love away. Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu Limadta. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Continue on page 714. Please rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Please be seated as we continue on page 714 with the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahav, 714, 714.
Et Adonai Elohecha.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
We continue our service now on 728 with Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha, as I shared with some of you before, is sort of amazing to me in that it's a rhetorical question as a prayer. It is the moment at which the Israelites had crossed the sea, having escaped Egypt through the Yetziat Mitzrayim, and they exclaimed in wonderment, "Who is like God? How amazing is this moment? How transcendent is this experience?" And so now we arrive at the Micha Mocha as we reflect on how amazing is it to be here together.
So this is a call and response, okay? If you don't know this, you'll learn it quickly, I'm sure. Micha Mocha, 728. Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha, Nedar Ba'Kodesh, Nohra, Tehilot, Osei, Feleh, Nohra, Tehilot, Osei, Feleh. Good. Together. Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha, Nedar Ba'Kodesh. Adonai, Yimloch, Leholam, Vaed. Adonai, Yimloch, Leholam, Vaed.
So at this time, I'm thrilled to introduce a guest vocalist we have here with us tonight. We're honored to have Vida Simon singing with us this evening. So we are going to continue in our service on page 730 with the Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu, this plea for God to spread over the people of Israel his Sukkot Shalom, this sukkah of peace. as we begin to set our sights on the next holiday to come. In just very short time, we'll be able to envision and dwell in and live within the Sukkah. So here you can even see on the page itself the lines carved in this arc over the city, this Sukkot Shalom, visually represented in our prayer book too. So now the Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu leshalom v'hamidenu lechaim ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Sukkot shlomecha Ushmar tzeiteinu uvaweinu lechayim uleshalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Sukkot shlomecha.
Give us this night time to lie in peace. May we rise to new life each day, and let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of love for all. And guard our going and coming home, filled with life and peace, now and ever on. And let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of love for all.
Ushmar tzeiteinu uvaweinu lechayim leshalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Sukkot shlomecha. A shelter of love for all.
Thank you. We now continue on 734. I believe it was Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory, who said that just as the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people, that there is something constitutive about Shabbat, about taking this moment to rest, to stop, to breathe. And so we continue with Vishamru, a traditional piece that you would see on most Shabbatot. And it takes on particular resonance today as we consider what it means to hold Shabbat and that Shabbat holds us.
I'm closer. Vishameru B'nei Yisrael Vishameru et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לעשות את השבת לעולם. ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. שבת ויהי נפש.
We now continue on page 740 with the Amidah. The Amidah was this space originally. It wasn't even a prayer necessarily that was written down or transcribed. It was a space originally where the rabbis and the people in the community would pray from their own hearts, pray from their own souls, pray from their experiences, pray what was going on in their lives. And over time, our rabbanim and sages began to offer their prayers, and folks thought, hey, well, that's pretty good. Let's write some of that down. Let's retain some of that. And over time, this space that we had here for the Amidah became filled in with all of the prayers that you see here today, beautiful prayers that we have had for just about the last 2,000 years of Jewish tradition. Tonight, in this space in which the gates are open, the rabbis teach that the gates are open during these Yamim Noraim, these days of awe, the gates of prayer, that God is actually closer to us, and we have the ability to reach God with our prayers in a way that's really remarkable in contrast to the rest of the year. So I want to invite you now in the silent Amidah, feel free to look at the words to get some inspiration, but I really want to encourage you to pray that prayer that you have right now, that you are thinking about, that you are feeling, what is on your mind or your heart. So we now continue with the silent Amidah. I invite you to rise on 740, and we'll conclude with Esainai.
Esainai el Harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Esainai el Harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai. Ezri me'im Adonai. Ose shamayim va'aretz. Esainai el Harim me'ayin
From where will my help
yavo Ezri. Esainai el Harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Yavo Ezri, Ezri Mehim Adonai, Ezri Mehim Adonai, Ose Shamayim Va'aretz.
So you can close your books now for a few minutes. Avinu Malkeinu. It's this idea, we see this prayer over and over again actually through the Chagim, through the high holidays. Avinu Malkeinu. That God is like a parent and God is like a sovereign in particular, this one metaphor here. Now what's interesting is that if you look at what Maimonides has to say about these things, the Rambam says that there's something a little bit absurd about that if you actually believe that God is a father or a king, that would be idolatrous, that would be heretical, in fact. So what's this about then? What's this prayer? Well, in many ways it's a concession to the reality that the God that we identify with, this transcendent, blessed Holy One in our tradition, is tough to relate to on that level, tough to picture, tough to sort of pin down in terms of, okay, who is this that I am praying to? Who is this blessed Holy One that I'm offering my prayers to right now? It's a challenge. The way in which the rabbis addressed this challenge was with Avinu Malkeinu. This was one way in which they thought about what God was to them, how they understood the Blessed Holy One. So in the spirit of Kol Nidre, in that this was a service that the rabbis were actually quite uncomfortable with, but the people loved it, the people in the communities loved it, and so here we have it today. I am actually going to say a little bit less right now, and I am going to invite you all, the community, to say more. I would like for you to turn to the person or people next to you in a sort of chavruta style, traditional Jewish style learning, and just find out from that person, what did God look like when you were a kid? When you were a little kid, your first memory of what God looked like, what was that? Was it the old man with a beard in the clouds? Was it a kindly old grandmother? I've heard people say things like a lifeguard, or suggest the genie from Aladdin was someone's conception of what God looked like to them when they were younger. And maybe you don't even believe in God, and that's okay too. This is a time to talk about some of those images that we see here and what that means. So for the next few minutes, I want you to share with your family of birth, your family of choice, the family that we are here in today, and share what did God look like in your first memories of divinity. Chevre, friends, family, I want to encourage you to finish up your thought, whatever piece it is that you're sharing right now of divinity, of your experience, of some of these images of what you have held to be divine. This is very cool in that with this kind of seating like this and with people talking, it actually sounds very much like a traditional Jewish Beit Midrash, a house of study. And I really hope that you all got to learn a little bit from one another right now instead of just me in this space. So I know that we have so many artists and so many writers and so many people with such beautiful perspective that if anybody would be comfortable sharing one of these images that they remember, I would love to hear it, to share with our community. Buddy, have an image they want to volunteer? If not, that's okay too. I know it's a big crowd. Yeah. George Burns. Yeah. I love it. What else? Yeah, over, all the way up top, yeah. Say it again? Gandalf, very good. Again, the sort of man with the beard, the wise old sage figure in that way. Very good. Other folks, young or old? Yeah, go ahead. Morgan Freeman. I love it. I love it. It's a great voice, too, in particular. And I think so much of our text in the way it brings up God's voice and God speaking to the people, that voice in that way is so powerful, in addition to being that sagely figure. Other thoughts? Love to hear a couple more. Yes? Any women? Female images of God? Yeah, over here we have... Okay. Very good. Yes. I love it. I love it. I think when I was a kid, this is probably, telling you something, about my subconscious or something, but when I was a kid, I remember my rabbi actually on the high holidays, in the robe in particular, there was something about these big white flowing robes that I imagined could be something that you might see in Shemayim up in the heavens, that really struck me in this powerful sort of way. This is a very new experience wearing regalia like this, but I still think about my rabbi from North Carolina, Steve Sager. And he was clean-shaven, too. He didn't have a beard or anything, in contrast to many of the bearded old man images. But I think that figure in a robe in the clouds somehow was what spoke to me when I was a little kid, when I was probably 8 or 9. So, how about now? I'm not sure that I have envisioned God in that kind of imagery recently beyond... the more associative framework of the Kabbalists, actually, and their images in the Sfirot. A complicated topic, but one I would be happy to unpack a little later on at another time. So do we have any other final thoughts or pieces? Yeah, that you want to share?
Sort of a good view of where we maybe come. My mom, born in Mashar-Arim a while ago. Her image is of a king-type image riding in on a horse. My son, a 5-year-old, his image, if I remember correctly, is clouds.
Wow, that's beautiful. The cloud image first is very strong in our tradition. We think about during Yetziat Mitzrayim when the Jews are leaving Egypt, that for their wanderings they are following this pillar of cloud, Amud Anan, by day and night. And it's this idea that there is something holy that they are following there. So I love that as a beautiful traditional drash even. Say that? Did Al Gore invent the cloud? A question for the ages. A question for the ages, most certainly. So, I hope that in the spirit of Kol Nidre, in the spirit of the people of the Jewish community getting to share some of their experience and getting to hold the pieces of Judaism that are powerful for them. I'm hoping that this was powerful for you all too. I've got plenty more to say tomorrow, have no fear, in terms of traditional drashot. But I was really glad to hear from all of you. One last one, it looks like up top. This blurry sort of mystical kind of figure. I think about Moses actually being the only one who ever got to see God panim el panim, face to face, but for everyone else, it was this mystery shrouded up on Har Sinai and Mount Sinai. So I think that's a beautiful image that resonates gorgeously with our tradition. So with that, I hope I've given you something to think about and talk about and chew on in terms of where are these prayers going while the gates are open? Where are these prayers going? What is this about? What does this go to? So just as we have Avinu Malkeinu, we have all of our traditional liturgy, I encourage you to also have that relationship with our tradition and with our Blessed Holy One. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, and Gamar Chatima Tova.
We continue on page 781 and 2 with the Ya'aleh. We start in the middle of it because that's just how alternative we are here.
Well said.
And my friends, I just want to remind you, not only do we have a beautiful guest vocalist, Vida Simon, tonight, but we also are graced once again with our cellist, beautiful presence, soulful player, Peggy Baldwin. This is Ya'aleh. Ya'aleh Yisheinu Me'erev Le'avotoreinu miboker ve'yira'echinu Ya'alechinu yeinu me'erev ve'avoti kateinu miboker ve'yira'eh Teinu Me'erev ve'avoti kateinu Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh, Ein kateinu me'erev v'yavo elecha miboker
We continue now on page 812 with Adonai, Adonai. 812. We see here a list of attributes of God. And what's remarkable to me about this particular list is I think about that formulation in the Torah where it says that human beings were created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And when I look at this list of attributes, it sounds both like what we seek, what we strive for, both in ourselves and in others, and what we hope to bring to fruition in our communities, as well as our prayer to God. So now we continue with Adonai, Adonai. Please rise.
Adonai, Adonai, Yerachum v'chanun, Erech apayim v'rav chesed ve'emet, Notzer chesed la'lavim, Nosei avon v'afesha, v'chata'a v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim v'rav chesed ve'emet, Notzer chesed la'lavim, Nosei avon ba'fesha, v'chata'a v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim v'rav chesed ve'emet, Noser chesed la'lavim, Nosei avon ba'fesha, v'chata'a v'nakeh.
Remain standing as we continue with Shema Kolenu on 8:14. Shema Kolenu. We usually hear Shema as in the Shema, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, in which we are talking about God, saying, listen, Israel, this is the nature of our God. Here we actually have something of an inversion of that. Shema Kolenu, listen to our voice, God. Listen to our voices. Listen to our cry, our pleas, and what we are bringing. So as we return to Shema Kolenu, I invite you to hear the voices of the Kahal. Listen to all of these voices that we are together in family with today.
Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, rachem aleinu. Sing with me. Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, rachem aleinu. V'kabel v'rachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu, tefilatenu. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Kekeden Shema Koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem aleinu Rachem aleinu Shema Koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem aleinu Rachem aleinu Shema Koleinu Shema
We remain standing as we continue on 8:20 with the vidui, the confessional. This is Ashamnu, Bagadnu. All of the endings in this new, is the first person plural in the Hebrew. This tells us that we don't sin as individuals, we don't do wrong individually, but we do it to one another, with one another, that our mechanism of forgiveness is to be in community and to own our wrongdoings together in this way. So we continue now with the vidui.
Ashamnu Bagadnu Gazalnu Dibarnu Dofi He'evinu V'hirshanu Zadnu Chamasnu Tafalnu Shaker Yatsnura Kizavnu Latsnu Maradnu Niatsnu Sararnu Avinu Pashanu Sararnu Kishinu Oref Rashanu Shichatnu Tiavnu Tahinu Titanu.
We continue on 8:28 with Al Chet. I invite you to remain standing for the Al Chet. Al Chet, literally, it's a rendition of sin in the Hebrew. And literally it means a miss. When we talk about sin or wrongdoing as missing the mark, this is really what it's talking about. It's an understanding that not every sin is the most terrible, grave, horrible thing in the world, that it's possible, in fact, to mean well and to miss the mark, and that's okay. So we continue now with Al Chet, where we unpack missing the mark. 8:28. What we're going to do is read the English together and have the V'al Kulam piece in between the various points that we read. So now we read together. for the wrong that we have done you in the closing of the heart, and for the wrong we have done before you without knowing what we do. For the wrong that we have done before you, whether open or concealed, and for the wrong that we have done before you, knowingly and by deceit. For the wrong we have done before you through the prompting of the heart, and for the wrong we have done before you, whether by influence of others. For the wrong we have done before you, whether by intention or mistake, and for the wrong we have done before you by the hand of violence. For the wrong we have done before you through our foolishness of speech, and for the wrong we have done before you through an evil inclination. For all of them, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us to atone. Continue from the top of 829. For the wrong that we have done before you in the palming of a bribe, and for the wrong that we have done before you by expressions of contempt, for the wrong we have done before you through misuse of food and drink, and for the wrong that we have done before you by our avarice and greed, for the wrong that we have done before you through offensive gaze, and for the wrong that we have done before you through a condescending glance. And for all of them, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us to atone. Continue on 831. For the wrong that we have done before you by our quickness to oppose, and for the wrong that we have done before you by deception of a friend, for the wrong that we have done before you by unwillingness to change, and for the wrong that we have done before you by our running to embrace an evil act, for the wrong that we have done before you by our groundless hatred, and for the wrong that we have done before you in the giving of false pledge, and for all, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us to atone. Continue on 454, page 454 with Avinu Malkeinu. As we return to Avinu Malkeinu, I invite you to return to some of those images. Perhaps it was one of those divine images that you held, or perhaps it was one of those images that one of our young sages in the back shared with us. So now we turn to Avinu Malkeinu on 454.
Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu,
Tzedaka v'chesed, Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu.
Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Malkeinu Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim.
We continue on 1202 with the Aleinu. Again, I invite you to remain standing. 1202, the Aleinu. Aleinu, it is upon us. So as we prepare to close this evening's service and move into the full day of Yom Kippur davening and reflecting and tshuva, I just want to remind you that it is upon us. 1202.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latzeit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asan.
Olam natsa betocheinu, anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai v'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Please be seated. Before we conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish, we have a few announcements. First, our food drive, donations to the Westside Food Bank. Shop online at ourki.org/food drive or bring bags of food to donate tomorrow. We are 77% as of this afternoon of the way to our goal of 85,000 pounds of food. So you all can make the difference. We have two new fantastic groups starting this year. Next Door is a group for adults 45 to 65 who are moving into a next phase of life without kids. And Club 2030. This is a group for young adults 21 through 35 who want to socialize and network. The first event is beer and big questions. For more info about both groups, check out the community table. Community table outside includes KI Connects. Connect with KI congregants with similar interests. Whether it's hiking, book club, Shabbat dinners, or anything else that sparks your interest, sign up for KI Connects at the community table. Upcoming events that we also have include Monday, October 6th, Arts and Crafts Mimosa Brunch, help decorate the sukkah. Wednesday, October 8th, AJWS with me, Learning with Me in the Sukkah. Thursday, October 9th, Beer and Wings in the Sukkah. Watch the NFL game at KI. Sunday, October 12th, New and Prospective Member Social. Other big upcoming events to put on your radar. Sunday, October 26th, the almost monthly Tikkun Olam project with free dinner. The Giving Spirit. Thursday, November 20th, Holiday Boutique for Good. Another announcement that isn't on here, but I certainly want to extend to you all, is the weekend of November 9th is our Scholar in Residence weekend, where we'll be welcoming my advisor, my mentor, and my rabbi, Rabbi Jacob Staub, also a mentor to Rabbi Amy Bernstein, for our installation weekend. We believe that the finest way to honor rabbis in that way is to study some Torah. So for our installation weekend, Rabbi Amy Bernstein installed as senior rabbi. I will be installed as assistant rabbi here at KI. Come and hear the Torah of Rabbi Jacob Staub. Saturday, January 31st is casino night. More information out there as well. We also have new member folders with information about joining KI. Furthermore, KI is embarking on a fantastic new family cruise this summer. The cruise ship travels to Jewish historical sites in Spain, Italy, and France. Get more info about the cruise and upcoming info meeting at the community table. Tonight, I want to thank all of our accompanists, Julie Silver, our cantorial soloist, who's done a beautiful job, the inimitable virtuoso Michael Asher on piano, as well as Vita Simon and Peggy Isla. Peggy Baldwin. Thank you. Tomorrow's service begins at 10 a.m. here at KI. We'll continue with Yom Kippur Shacharit. We'll have congregational learning and study at 2:30. We will have Mincha beginning at 4 here. I believe 5 o'clock is Yizkor?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Yes, 5 o'clock to 5. Yes, 5 o'clock.
5 to 5:30 is Yizkor.
4 o'clock
Yep.
is Mincha. 5 o'clock is Yizkor.
And then we conclude with Ne'ilah at 5:30. So that is all of Yom Kippur happening tomorrow. So we are going to conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish. It's our tradition here that following the Kaddish, we leave quietly in the reflective space that is called for on Yom Kippur. So at this time, I invite anyone to share names for our Kaddish.
Sarah Goldberg.
And as is our KI tradition, I invite you all to rise to recite the Kaddish on 12:16. We all recite the Kaddish in the memory of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, as well as those who no longer have anyone able or willing to say Kaddish for them. So the Kaddish is on 12:16. We recite together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirute ve'amlich malchute, b'chaye chon uv'yom echon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'itadar, v'itale, v'talal, shmei dekudisha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mbromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'imru, amen. Gamar Chatima Tova.